As your president, I will defend our democracy with every fiber of my being, and I'm asking every American to join me.
Protecting our democracy. Concerns about our democracy.
Direct threat to our democracy.
All-out assault on our democracy.
It's extremely dangerous to our democracy.
We're losing our democracy!
Our democracy.
Well, it sure does seem like a lot of people are worried about our democracy these days, but what does that mean? Well, it would be like walking into a feudal castle and listening to these people talk about our feast. If you're one of these guys, you won't be sitting at the table, you're waiting on it. It ain't your feast. It's their feast, and you're there to work so they enjoy it. It's the same thing when they talk about
our democracy.
They don't mean your democracy. You won't have anything to do with running things. That's their job. Let's let a few communists explain how this works. Here's Karl Marx in the Communist Manifesto.
We have seen above that the first step in the revolution by the working class is to raise the proletariat to the position of ruling class to win the battle of democracy. The proletariat will use its political supremacy to wrest, by degrees, all capital from the bourgeoisie.
To translate, the communist goal is winning the battle of democracy, which is done by seizing all political power and taking everything away from the oppressor classes. Vladimir Lenin gives us a little more information in a 1918 piece called Democracy and Dictatorship.
The dictatorship of the proletariat alone can emancipate humanity from the oppression of capital, from the lies, falsehood, and hypocrisy of bourgeois democracy. Democracy for the rich, and establish democracy for the poor.
Did you catch that? According to Lenin, we're starting with a democracy, but it's a bad democracy. What we have to do is tear down that democracy and replace it with a dictatorship of the proletariat. Here's Chairman Mao in a June 30th, 1949 speech called On the People's Democratic Dictatorship.
Bourgeois democracy has given way to people's democracy under the leadership of the working class, and the bourgeois republic to the people's republic. You are dictatorial, my dear sirs. You are right. That is just what we are. All the experience the Chinese people have accumulated through several decades teaches us to enforce the people's democratic dictatorship. That is, to deprive the reactionaries of the right to speak and let peoples alone have that right.
To sum up Chairman Mao, the communists want to replace bourgeois democracy or a bourgeois republic with a people's democracy or a people's republic. And what's a people's democracy? It's the people's democratic dictatorship. And dictatorship is what it's all about. It's the title of the speech. And by the way, if you oppose that dictatorship, congratulations, you're a reactionary and have no right to speak. Maybe a Venn diagram would help make this clear.
I love Venn diagrams.
When you think about the ideal Western democracy, you probably think of something like this. Here are all of the citizens of a particular country. The Constitution applies to all of them equally, and so do the laws, and in all likelihood, these citizens have probably divided themselves into a number of different political parties that represent different ideas on how things should be done. Every so often, these citizens hold elections to determine which of their fellow citizens will fill available political offices. This is the ideal government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And by the people, we mean all of the citizens of the country. A citizen might look at this and see a democracy for everyone and say, that's our democracy. But for the communist, it's a bourgeois democracy, and it has to be smashed and replaced with a people's democratic dictatorship. Here's what that looks like, and the first thing you need to know is it's completely segregated. On the one side, you have the communists, and on the other side, you have not communists, also known as reactionaries. If you don't want to live under a communist dictatorship, that's you. Communist Party elites decide who's going to be in charge of the government, and you'll notice that the government is entirely within the set of communists. This is a government of, for, and by the Communist Party. Remember what Chairman Mao said, reactionaries must be deprived of the right to speak, and that pretty much includes all other rights as well. As Lenin and Mao said, this perpetual dictatorship is the same thing as a people's democracy, or if you're a communist,
our democracy.
That's why Communist East Germany was called the German Democratic Republic, and why the official name of North Korea is the DPRK, or Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It's also why this old Soviet poster featuring murderous dictators Joseph Stalin and Vladimir Lenin proudly proclaims "Za mir, za narodную demokratию," or "For the world, for the people's democracy." And that, my friends, is what Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Joy Reid, and all of the other leftists are talking about when they get so worried about
our democracy.